Hello everyone, in this episode of third person series I'm going to show you how to create an explosive barrel like this in Unreal Engine 5. But before we get started, please like this video and subscribe my channel to discover more and more tutorials. Thank you. Alright, before getting started, you have to make sure that you have Chaos plugin activated in your project. To check this, from edit tab you can open plugins and here search for Chaos and make sure this plugin Chaos editor, this one exactly, is activated in your project, and if it is not activated, make sure to activate it. Okay, in this tutorial I'm going to use some assets. First one is this barrel and also this material for my barrel, and also two different explosion sound effects and also this explosion decal. And okay, first I place this barrel mesh into my scene, and here I select fracture. From this section I set it to fracture, and here by hitting this new icon I can create a new geometry collection for this mesh. And now I should select a location for my geometry collection to be saved, so I select this barrel folder and click on create geometry collection. Now as you can see, my geometry collection is created here inside this folder. Alright, now here in fracture section I have lots of different options, but in this case I select uniform, and as you can see now my mesh is separated into many small pieces, and there are lots of parameters here that you can play with them and randomize these pieces size. Alright, and as you feel satisfied with these fragments and pieces, you can click on this fracture, and as you can see I have my pieces here. And if you click on this fracture button again, engine makes these pieces into smaller pieces again. So for example I do this twice, and here if I play with this explode amount slider, I can see a preview of my explosion here. Alright, now here I go back to selection mode and I keep this asset, this mesh selected, and here I click on this icon and create a blueprint from this mesh. So first I click here and select this geometry collection actor and click on select, and you can also choose a path for your blueprint. Alright, now I have created this blueprint here. Now I'm going to add some components to this blueprint. First, here I hit this add icon and add a box collision. I place it here and scale it up to cover all of my mesh space like this. Alright, now I click here again and add a cascade particle system, and I name it explosion. Now here I select explosion big C from this VFX starter pack, which is available for free on Fab. Has lots of different explosion particles. I'm going to use this one, P Explosion Big C, and I select it and set auto activate to false. Now I add another cascade particle system and I name it smoke. Alright, and I also set auto activate to false, and here I search for a smoke P smoke B. Alright, now I'm going to create a decal for my explosion effect right here. So as I told you, I have this texture. Now here I right click and create a new material, and I name it explosion dash decal. Alright, now I open it up and select this material, and here I set material domain to deferred decal, and I also set blend mode to translucent. Now I drag and drop my PNG here and connect this one to base color and this one to opacity. Now I click apply and save and close this material. Now I go back to my barrel blueprint inside viewport. Alright, now here I hit this add icon and search for decal. I add decal component to my blueprint. I select my decal component and here I search for my explosion decal. And alright, I rotate it minus 90 degrees on y-axis, and as you can see here, this decal is placed in a correct position, but I should set visibility to false. Alright, now I compile and open event graph. Now I select my box collision and here I search for on component begin overlap event. On component begin overlap. Alright. Here I drag a node and cast to my bullet blueprint. Cast to bullet BP and connect object wildcard to other actor. And now first I drag and drop my box collision, and here I drag a node and search for a destroy component node and connect it here. Now I drag and drop my geometry collection here, and now I drag a node and search for add impulse. Add impulse. Alright. Okay. Connect it here and I set this Z value to 1500, and now I drag and drop this explosion particle system. Now I drag a node and search for activate and set it to true and connect it here. And now I drag a node from this geometry collision component and I search for set material. But before that I should create a new material for explosion, because I want the material of my barrel to change after explosion. So here I right click and search for and create a new material, and I name it explosion on dash mat. Here I don't have any useful texture for exploded iron, for example, so I simply set this base color to black. Alright, now I save and go back to my barrel blueprint, and here in this material section I search for explosion mat, this black material. Alright, now I drag and drop my decal here. Now I drag a node and search for set visibility and set it to true. Now I drag a node from here and search for place sound at location. Alright, and now I'm going to promote this to a variable, and I name it sound effect. Alright, this variable is in type of sound base. Now I select this variable. First I compile, and here I set this variable type to array. So now I can play a random explosion sound effect, because here I have two different explosion sound effects and I want one of them to be played randomly every time this explosion happens. So here I drag and drop this sound effect array here. Now I drag a node and search for random array item and connect it here. Now I compile and select this array, and now I should add default value, so I add two different array elements, and here I search for explosion 1 for example, and here explosion 2, and every time this explosion triggers, one of these explosion sound effects will be played randomly. And for location I right click and search for get actor location, and target should be self, because I want the location of this barrel blueprint, and connect it to location. Alright, now here I drag a node and add a delay node. I set duration to 0.3 for example, or maybe 0.2, and now I drag and drop my smoke particle, and now I drag a node and search for activate. Alright, and set this to true. Okay, now again I drag a node and add a delay node. Now I set duration to 10 seconds, and again from this smoke particle I drag a node and search for activate, and this time I set it to false because I want this smoke to be removed after 10 seconds. And finally, I drag and drop this geometry collection, actually this barrel, and search for destroy component. Alright, now I compile and close this blueprint. Now I open my bullet blueprint. Inside weapon folder here, bullet BP. Okay, now I go to viewport, and as you can see, this is my bullet mesh. Here I search for collision preset, and I set collision preset to default. Alright, now I compile. Now I go to my barrel folder here, and here I have geometry collection of my barrel. I open it up, and here I have a parameter called mass. By default it is set to 2500, and I prefer not to change this, so I close this geometry collection, and into the scene I select my blueprint, and here I search for damage threshold. And as you can see, by default it is set to 500,000. Now I'm going to reduce it to 8,000. All of indexes 8,000. Alright, now I create some duplicates of this barrel with Ctrl and D and place them in the scene. Another one here. Now I run the game, and alright, as you can see, I have explosion like this when I shoot this barrel. Okay, and another thing you should do inside your barrel blueprint, select your geometry collection, and here set can character step up on, set it to no. Make sure this variable is set to no. Okay, alright, if this episode and this tutorial was useful for you, please like this video and subscribe my channel. Thank you.